So hey, that's me. That's my favorite. That's a picture in the CGI fractions book. It's a picture. It's the only picture I've ever had to sign at a conference, right? So some of you might know me from that. I do a lot of work in research, in math education research. I love being in classrooms and working with teachers and hanging with kids. But in reality, a lot of research is filling out IRB forms, some consent forms, looking at data, and then trying to get money. I'm always trying to get more and more grants, and they're prestigious. The most prestigious grant for people in my world is the NSF Career Grant. I tried 3 years in a row. I really tried to connect with teachers, trying to build and make a grant better and better, and I finally got it. Woo! Right? It's a lot of work. All these people are people who helped me. Melissa Adams-Corral, Tiffany Tynes-Curry, Susan Empson, Aaron Turner, Julia Aguirre, Catherine Ye, Brian Lawler, Bob Moses, and Earl Shaw. Shout outs. All these people gave me lots and lots of advice, read through drafts, helped me get this grant. It was a labor of love. And I even got to hang out with a school that focuses on play, inquiry-based teaching, and all sorts of great things happening at this one school that served an African-American community in Ohio. Everything was set. I had the grants, I had the money, I had the teachers, I had the school, and then boom, got the grant in the summer of 2020, right? Whoo! How cool. So I didn't really know what to do. I was like, okay, we can't be in the classrooms. We just kind of figured this out. I have this money, I can't spend it. So I spent the year getting kind of drank, all right? And you know, a lot of the teachers and the people I was working with, right, this is what we did. We just sort of like commiserated, like, what the heck are we gonna do, right? But my work before I became a teacher was in software. So I learned, you're gonna pivot. Let's change things up, right? We can do this differently. We don't have to be in schools. We don't have to do the way schools normally do. Let's try hanging out where the kids go, right? So I found out that kids were in community centers, right? Especially our students on IEPs had to be in spaces that they were supported. I started shifting. You can see this is one of our digital storytelling screenings. Families had to sit at different tables, they had to do it far apart, people had to wear masks. We're able to do stuff. Working on Zoom, right? Hanging out, we get to see the personalities of the kids, get to hang with parents, get to hang with grandparents, get to hang with family members, right? I learned so much about the kids and the teachers I was working with because we have this window into their home life, right? But I also found out that, you know what, a lot of what we do in schools, now that I'm working in community centers, a lot of what we do in schools, kind of whack, kind of colonizing, right? Kind of still like doing a lot of white supremacy of looking at kids in really deficit ways. But when we actually did the camps, when we actually working with kids, man, the kids were thriving, right? All this talk about learning loss, right? Kids not doing enough, right? I found the opposite. I found that kids, when they're given spaces and freedom to really have some fun, were doing great stuff. But Lee Patel hooked me up and she's talking to me about, hey, go where you're local, right? It's not where you're from, it's not where you're at, it's where you're local. And I started realizing that I'm doing this work in schools, but for me, as an Asian American kid growing up in the United States, I went back to Cali. I started looking at the communities I'm from, communities where I've been working with, communities where teachers get support, and finding out that, wow, there's not a lot of work going on in Asian American math education outside of this deficit model minority narrative, right? The model minority myth, which is a violent way of focusing only on academic achievement, of basically saying all Asian Americans are the same, and really just erasing all the individuality and the actual struggles going on. So my students started getting deeper and deeper into, let's tell some counter stories. Let's push back on these narratives about who we are, what our community is. Those counter stories are pretty scary, right? Finding out a lot about migration trauma, right? Mental health issues, right? Intergenerational loss, right? And it's real. I mean, I do work in Monterey Park right now, right? We just had a shooting on Lunar New Year, right? It was terrible. And this stuff is real, right? And this affects the kids that we work with, and oftentimes these stories are not talked about because within the Asian American community, we just focus on math being really good, the achievement looking really good, right? And so I've got to do some work in Monterey Park in San Gabriel Valley. This is some work focusing on the math behind the Transcontinental Railroad, which was built by Chinese Americans in the 1800s, yet were erased. So now again, focusing on where I'm going. What does Asian American math identity look like? It can look very different than just doing well in school, look very different than just being a model minority, looking very different than just doing well and getting into good colleges, right? What could it be? Could it be something absurd, right? Like how about Asian American families winning the Cannabis Cup, right? Why the hell not, right? I mean, I don't even know what this is going to look like. So that's where I'm coming from. Peace, y'all. I'm telling you. you.
Good work, Teddy.